Welcome to the Depressy podcast.
I'm Missy.
And I'm Allie.
And we're sisters
in the mental health field.
Talking about all things stressy
and depressy. Hey,
disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Why do I always forget that? Disclaimer, we are just, students in the mental health field sharing what we're passionate about, sharing about our lives and what we've learned, but this is not mental health advice, and this is not meant to be medical advice, so please always talk to your therapist or your doctor for your own health, and don't take this too seriously. This is just for funsies.
We're not for real.
No. Okay, we can start with stressy depressy, but I almost wonder if some weeks we could do an anti-stressy depressy, if we don't have a stressy depressy, a small win.
Yeah, I think you can.
I think that last week was pretty good. I'm sure there's moments that I'm forgetting about, but I didn't find any more cockroaches when I was cleaning, knock on wood.
That's good. And
didn't get stung by a bee. So overall things are looking up. Let me think. I would say this is something that we were just talking about, Missy, where I was talking about how I saw online, and this is something we talk about, is okay, if a dog finds a chicken bone or something in a bush one time 5 years ago, every single time that you go for a walk next to that bush, it is but what if it grew a chicken bone again? The dog will be wanting
thinking
to check again.
Chicken bone every single time.
Yeah, thinking that there's a chance that there is a chicken bone there. And it's that was 5 years ago. Why do you keep doing that? And then I was thinking about ways that we as humans do that. We think, oh, silly dog, but we do that as humans. One way I definitely do this is parking spots. I'm if I found a parking spot on one block once, I will circle around there just to make sure.
Yeah, you're gonna try to be
sure that golden spot isn't back open again.
Literally.
Even though I've literally only found that spot open once, but it's such a good spot. But the other thing I would say is you'll find some good things at TJ Maxx once in a blue moon. You'll find a really good item, where you're oh my gosh, this is, I don't know. For example, one time I got this really, really cute Abercrombie dress there for super cheap. It fit perfectly, and it's become a staple wedding dress. So now every time I go back, I'm checking the dress section, and usually it's not that good finds. It's just all right, kind of basic, kind of strange formal wear that I imagine a businesswoman in her 60s wear, or
right.
a sundress that's extra, extra small for a teenager who hasn't started puberty yet. Truly, typically you're not finding the perfect thing. But this was 3 years ago that I found this dress. Every time I go back, I'm let me just check. So I was telling our brother's girlfriend Sammy about this and how we were at TJ Maxx together, and I was I'm just gonna check the dress section because one time I found this really good dress, and lo and behold, in the sale section, not even correctly sized, I found an Abercrombie dress that was originally $80 for $20, and it fit perfectly, and I wore it to the wedding 2 days later that I had, and it was so perfect, literally my favorite dress that I own now. So sometimes there is a chicken bone in the bush. Sometimes
I feel both of these phenomenon are slot machines. It's you just keep rolling the dice or keep trying spinning the thing until it just every once in a blue moon actually works out.
Yes, I want to hear about what you continually check or look for because it happened once to you.
I feel it's definitely a thing for me, but now I'm having trouble thinking of specific examples. I mean, the parking spot one I've definitely done. I'm trying to think. I'm not as much like that with shopping, as you know.
I know. Well, I just more meant it for the viewers. I want to know about their stuff.
Oh, true. Oh, you're I don't care about yours.
Well, I'm trying to think. I feel you're not like
interview
that.
Question. Okay, what do you think? Yeah,
I feel you're not as much like that because you're a little more practical and you know what you're doing with every second of the day. So you're not necessarily going to do let me I just see this one thing? Like, that's probably not gonna be of any use. But yeah.
Tell us.
Okay.
We're interested in you, not me.
We are. We don't care about Missy. But I would say that's like, what's the opposite of stressy depressy?
Anti-stressy depressy.
In the sun, except no sun these days because of, I was about to say because of climate change. Because
I don't know why my brain went to global warming.
I know. Why did that happen?
Why did that happen? No.
It's usually the culprit.
Daylight savings is what we're going for here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a stressy depressy?
You know what? Yeah, it's we always talk about how when Allie's up, I'm down.
I know.
And actually, I have had a pretty good week, but Allie hasn't found any critters. But we did. I think you know about this.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We have never ever. We do really like this apartment, and in part, we're like actually like there's really not a bad critter situation here. Like you see the occasional bug, and that's pretty typical for New York. But like we've never had anything else. This week we got home, and I just see a little old, I think a mouse, run right across our floor into our kitchen. And here's the thing that's really turning around in my brain that's making me stressy depressy is that it was a little bigger than a mouse. It wasn't big like a rat. Like it wasn't.
Is it because I told you it might be pregnant?
No. Okay. But okay, so I've been on a whole journey because it just happens so fast. If you've seen like a mouse like run across the floor, it's just insanely fast. Jacob didn't even see it. Like I almost am like, did I hallucinate this thing? But I'm pretty positive it's real. But it had a long tail. And then I was like, does that mean it's a rat? I'm looking it up. Mice can have long tails. Mice can have long tails.
Okay.
But then I was like, rats are bigger. Like rats are, it wasn't a rat. It was just a big mouse. But then someone was telling us recently, baby rats kind of look like mice. So
I think it was a mouse.
It was most likely a mouse. I will say we were just talking to our neighbors who said they've been here for many months now, probably 8 months, but like their first month here, their first day, they saw a mouse run across their floor, and it was like definitely a mouse, like tiny mouse, and they've never seen anything since. But we were like, that's crazy, we've never seen a mouse. Literally 2 days after talking to them, we saw this thing run across our floor. So probably it's a mouse, given that someone else saw a mouse. Maybe it was a big mouse. I really don't know. It was scary, and I don't know, just critters.
I personally would rather see a mouse. And I'm not saying have a mouse problem. I'm saying I'd rather see a mouse than a cockroach. And I think this is what we were talking about, how if you see a cockroach, for every cockroach you see, there's 10,000 cockroaches living in your wall. For every mouse you see, or even rat, it truly could just be one that just got lost. It's cold outside in New York right now. And it just wanted a little home, but they don't have the same kind of nesting situation that bugs do. And I feel like mice genuinely want nothing to do with you, whereas cockroaches like don't really care about you. They're like, I will walk over your foot, I will be under you, I will crawl on all your food. Mice are like, okay, I want your food, yes, but if I even get a whiff that you're coming, I'm going back in my hole.
Totally. Yeah, it scurried so fast. Like I've never seen anything dart so fast. And I think that is how I feel. I think I would rather have maybe cockroaches over a mouse infestation, because that is really hard to manage, I think.
Mouse infestation.
Like if there's,
I don't know what they would do.
I think you have to like set traps, but the tricky thing is like then you could start to attract more mice with the traps. Like it's this really sticky situation. Whereas like a one-off mouse, I do agree. It really could be a one-off thing. Who knows? They did just do some construction in our apartment, as I was talking about last week, and there was like a hole in the wall for like a little bit, not long, but it was closed by the time this happened. But like we think maybe it could have gotten in that way. I don't know. Whatever.
I've spent so much time with mice in my life. I feel like because I did lab work on mice for like 4 years. So I feel like, oh, whatever. It's just a mouse.
But a lab rat versus a
it is very
street
different.
rat. Like
I would say the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. Well, maybe there's crazier things, but is during a medical school interview. I was home alone. It was virtual, and I see something run in front of me, and I'm like, oh, that was Cassie. It was like a furry creature. No, it wasn't Cassie. it was a mouse, because then I see Cassie run by and I was like mid interview, just see a mouse and I'm like, Cassie's playing with it. Cats, especially when they're well fed, do not just like hunt to kill. They think it's playtime. So she is like playing with this mouse. I don't know what to do. It was actually like a group interview where there was like multiple candidates on the call or whatever. So I literally just said, I'm such a cat mom. Like, I was so
my
scared.
First priority is my cat.
My first priority is my baby. And mice can like get into rat poisoning, like that they might have had, or just have like a cat disease or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and also they can scratch and like actually hurt your cat. Like, it's just not good. Obviously it's not crazy, but I was like, okay, I don't know. So what I ended up doing, I was like, I messaged in Zoom or whatever platform. I was like, so sorry, my cat just caught a mouse. I'll be right back. Like, muted, whatever. I couldn't get the mouse, but I just put Cassie in like the bathroom or something so that she couldn't get to the mouse. And then the rest of the interview, I have like my feet up on the desk because I just like hear it running around and it's injured because Cassie was playing with it.
Yeah.
So I think we have like a 5-minute break. I try to see it. I think it's under the couch. So I call Alex, our brother, and I'm like, he has a key to my apartment. And I'm like, you have to come over and you have to get this mouse while I'm in my interview. Like, it was like an all-day interview kind of thing. I had multiple interviews. And he did. He was there like literally 30 minutes later. And I'm in my interview just like watching him. And I'm like...
and he's like, mouse?
And he's like trying to catch this mouse. Anyway, he catches it and he like just puts like a container over it. Well, it's obviously injured. So at the end of my interview day, we're like, what do we do? And we're like, we can put it outside. We put it outside. It is like twitching. Like, my heart is breaking because then on the other side, I'm such an animal lover girl that I'm like, if we just put it outside, it's going to die. It was like cold outside. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to just like kill it. I don't know. I could have just left it. But I got so scared that I actually brought the container. I was like, we have to put it back in the container. We're going to bring it to a rescue. Alex is like, okay. So I call this rescue who's like, yes, of course, bring it in.
Wait, what kind of rescue? Just an animal?
A wildlife rescue.
Okay.
They like, remember when Mom found that baby bunny?
Yes.
She brought that
so you were
one
familiar
there.
with the procedure of what to do.
Yeah. So I call and they're like, yeah, bring it over. My dumb ass. And this is a like huge warning. Also, like, okay, basically the story doesn't end well with a mouse. So if you're triggered with like animal stuff, like I am, like, just go forward.
Just tune out for a bit.
Tune out for a sec. Basically, I'm like, it needs water. So it's like a large container that I have it in, like a giant container. And I put like a little ramekin with water in it. And this mouse goes over to get the water, falls in it, and drowns.
No.
And of course, I'm not like eyeing the mouse this whole time, so I don't notice that happen.
Oh.
And yeah, you look it up. It's like, of course, don't give them any food or water because you don't know what you're doing. I really thought that I was doing a good thing. Don't give them anything. You don't know what you're doing, okay? Just, if you want to save an animal, just give it to the people that know what they're doing. It was terrible. I was crying. We had a funeral for this mouse. It probably wouldn't have made it anyway. And maybe it didn't drown and it just died near the water. Kind of like fell over. Because it was like already suffering, from its injuries.
What?
But, ooh, that was bad.
Yikes.
Yeah. Anyway,
well,
that's such a fun story. And I didn't even get into that med school.
Wow.
I know.
I remember that story. Our mouse is, hopefully alive and well, just not in our apartment. So that's
some other crazy rodent run-ins.
Oh my God. Okay, we're like into this episode.
Quick,
tell your story if you want. Just tell it.
Basically, it was a nice fall day. Lucas had the door open with just the screen door closed to allow fresh breeze in. He ends up going upstairs and like doing something upstairs, and the screen door is closed and latched. And then he sees Cassie come into the living room, like, which is on the second floor. My cat, yeah, sorry. Of course, you know her name. See the cat come in. And then he sees Cassie come in, the cat. And he's like, wait, you just came in. It was a large pregnant rat trying to find a nest, who had not only chewed through the screen door, but then came up basically 2 flights of stairs upstairs to our living room. And Lucas just freaked out and like literally got like a broom and just was like sweeping the mouse out. And we actually did see the mice, not the mouse, the rat. We saw the rat's babies soon after outside.
Did they look like mice?
No, they had like rat looking faces. I feel like they're distinct.
I didn't see it. I didn't see the face. I wasn't. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah,
that's a crazy story. I was actually just telling that to people because we were telling them about our mouse story. And they were like, wow, I really like feel for this pregnant mom. She's just trying to give birth to her babies in like a warm place, you know?
It was a great place. And we're like, Cassie, why didn't you do anything? She literally was like so chill.
They're like the same size.
I know. Lucas said it would have been a fair fight.
Oh my God. Weirdly enough, Sadie didn't do anything with our mouse, and she is like bred to hunt these things. Like when we are outside, she'll see a rat, a squirrel, a pigeon, and she like no matter how well we try to train her.
Well, she's a little untrainable. I hate to say it.
She's a little untrainable with that.
She's not the smartest girl in the bush.
She's not the brightest bulb, and she is bred. Like it's like a switch flips in her, and she just cannot let it go. But meanwhile, this mouse runs across our floor. She's just like, what's up? Like she does not react. So I don't know. But okay, I should get into, I will say though, despite, I feel like I have a number of things to check in on this week.
Yes.
So maybe I should do my check-ins because my stressy depressy was the mouse / rat. But so much has happened this week that has all been very positive. The first big one that you're probably on the edge of your seat if you're a Depressy listener is I did my stem cell donation this week.
Yes.
Crazy. It was a wild day. Got up bright and early, and my husband came with me. And what
were you feeling on the way over there?
I was feeling a bit nervous, but honestly, once we got there was once my anxiety got to like a 100. Like it was truly. And this is where when people are like, exposure wouldn't work for me, I'm too scared, I counter because I'm out here evangelizing it, but like I truly understand what it's like. Like I couldn't really even talk because I would just cry. Like I was so
Did you cry?
Nervous. I did not actually cry, but I was like, my voice was shaky. Like I barely could speak. I was so anxious. Like I understand the feeling of just the visceral, your entire body is taken over by this anxiety. And what was tough was like when I first got there, they basically were like, okay, because I could bring my husband, that they were like, you need to come in first so we can get you all set up, i.e. like do everything that I'm most scared of, and then your husband can come in. And I actually got there, and you can't really use the bathroom. You can possibly, but they basically have to like unhook you and rehook you, so it's like a big ordeal. So I was like, I need to use the bathroom actually first. And I'm like in the bathroom, and I just remember looking at myself in the mirror and being like,
can you do this?
What if I just like, we were just watching Harry Potter. I was like, apparate. Like, how do I literally, what if I never left this bathroom? Like, what if I just like stayed in here? And I just like looked myself in the eye and was like, you're going back in. Go back in. And I mean, part of what was great was like the nurse was incredible. She was the perfect balance of like understanding and warm yet firm in a way that I needed. And first I had to do the injections again, so I did that. And then she's like going to do the like, you know, putting in all the tubes and everything to me. And she just sees me, I'm like shaking. I'm so nervous. She literally said to me, why did you sign up for this? I was like, I want to save my life. Sue me. But I also was like, I know that I'm going to be fine. I just need you to know that. Like, truly, I know I'm going to be fine. But right now, I'm panicking. And she was like, do you want us to get your husband? And I was like, yes, that would be amazing. So then Jacob came in, and he was really great. I feel like this is like, I mean, nowhere near in terms of like the pain level, but like practice of like when I'm like in labor, like he was there just like cheering me on, and I was like truly feeling the strongest anxiety I've ever felt. And yeah, but then they did it, and truly, like, I'm not even joking, like 5 minutes later, or maybe even less, I was like chilling. Like I was okay. Now my anxiety was not zero. It was not like like all throughout the day, I would say I was like a little on edge, but it was like the amount of on edge that you could be used to if you just have like, I don't know, you have a big meeting you have to go to. Like it wasn't anything crazy. And I just feel like it was the biggest. I've learned this time and time again now that like you are capable of doing this even if anxiety is not dangerous. It's so scary, but I would argue that if you have a phobia, you encounter this kind of thing from time to time where you feel this anxiety. Why not do it in a way where you actually get to like relearn and start to like undo some of that anxiety so you get to experience it less? And I feel like then when I was all done, I like truly couldn't believe it. Like I couldn't picture the fact that I had like finished this thing, and the amount of like pride and just happiness and yeah, all of the like good emotions just started flooding. Yeah, so it was kind of an amazing experience on the whole, I would say.
Yeah. I can't believe you did it. Like, I knew that you were going to, but I can't believe, like, it's now in our past.
I know.
Like, it truly went from, like, oh, maybe there's this thing to, like, 2 weeks later you're doing it.
It really moved quickly, which is not always how it happens. And this is just my experience. So if you're someone who's, like, considering being in the registry, it's not everyone's experience. Some people's, it just depends on the patient you're donating to really and what their treatment course is. But yeah, and then I've done some really lovely things since, one of which I treated myself to getting my nails done.
I thought you were going to say one of which someone who's on this video call offered you.
Oh, yes, you got me cookies. Everyone and their mother sent me cookies. We are drowning in cookies.
Who else sent you cookies? How many people?
Aaron sent me cookies, and then my friend Sarah was going to send me cookies.
Okay,
so but then Jacob was like, that is so sweet. We are truly drowning in cookies right now.
Did you finish the cookies?
No, we had people over for Shabbat on Friday, and we finished the insomnia cookies with everyone there that you had gotten. Because I was like, we will never get through all these cookies, but we've been making our way through the rest of the cookies. But there's only so much cookie a girl can have every day. But
fair.
Honestly, like in reality, no, because I've been a girl who's like, I can eat unlimited cookie. But I feel like once it gets to a point, you're like, okay, I need to take a break. And yeah, but that was extremely heartwarming. First of all, that like I had so many people who, including you, who just understood that this was a big deal and decided to do something. Our other friend I mentioned who'd sent me the cookies originally, she had gone through the donation process herself, and so she really knew like what it was like. And then today I just got my nails done, which if you know, for our true fans, you know that this is like my favorite thing ever, but it's expensive and it's not really in my grad student budget. But yeah, I said, you know what, I can splurge this time, and I got these green nails for Wicked the Musical, the movie, because I'm an OG fan. I used to have a cat named Fiero. He sadly passed away, but I got him when I was 12. I am truly an OG fan, and I'm just going to say, this is a little bit of a tangent, but now that Wicked is like in the mainstream and it's a movie, everyone and their mother is trying to say that they have a long, heartfelt history with this musical. Yeah. But I'm here to tell you that I had a cat named Fiero until about a year and a half ago, and no one knew what I was talking about.
Yes.
Not one person. Like, there was the very, very niche person who was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Everyone else was like, how do you figure out? Like, they had no idea how to spell it. They had no idea what it was referring to. I had to tell a whole story every time I told people my cat's name. So, I don't know. It doesn't add up. But honestly, I'm a little deal. And I kind of love this little whimsy of getting these green nails. It makes me so happy and is a fun little reward for everything I did.
Yeah. I feel like I could give some updates on my life.
What's your updates?
My update is that it's my 1 year anniversary of getting engaged.
Yes!
Yes. Missy's like, what update do you have possibly?
Well, we've already talked about that today multiple times, so it was not fresh on you. Yes.
1 year getting engaged. It's kind of crazy because I remember now I can picture myself at my wedding. Like, now it's kind of more real. But if you asked myself 1 year ago if I could picture the person that was going to be at my wedding, or myself that was going to be on the day of my wedding. I could not, because so much in my life I knew was going to change or had to happen before that point. So I was in the midst of third year, truly in the middle of my third year medical student life, going from rotation to rotation, studying every day for my shelf exams, you know, just very strict schedule. And then I knew I had to take step 2. That was going to be another hurdle. I knew I had to do multiple sub-Is in my 4th year then, which are like very, I don't want to say like, I guess intense, but just very important and demanding rotations that you do to kind of get your 4th year grades and hopefully recommendation letters. I had to then write my application, write my personal statement, decide where I was going to apply, get those recommendation letters in, submit my applications, get interview invites, and then interview at places, and then rank the list. And then obviously then in February or in March, I will find out if I match, and then a couple of days later, where I match, if I match. So the idea of me 1 year ago thinking about my wedding, it felt like that is going to be a whole completely different person. Like she is going to be done with medical school for all intents and purposes. She is going to be like just in a like knowing where she's going to spend the next 4 years or like 3, whatever, fellowship, whatever. Next years of my life, just really crazy. But now I truly can't believe like, oh yeah, have been getting interviews, thankfully. I've applied, to residency. That was an extremely stressful process, but I did it. I done with all my in-person rotations. And then, I have my last week of interviewing. I don't think I'll get any more interviews. They don't typically come out this late. I have like 3 more interviews to do this week, and then I'm done. And then I make my rank list and I kind of leave it up. So it's really, really crazy to think how much has happened, like when I really think about it, and how much of a different place I'm in than I was 1 year ago.
I know. I mean, we were even talking about this like a month ago when this, and so I submitted my applications 2 weeks ago for internship, and I'm still in this kind of limbo period where I might actually start to hear pretty soon about some interviews. But when we talked about a month ago, it was like your engagement dinner, and it was like I was like, whoa, it's going to be 6 months till your wedding. But it's crazy. So much is going to happen, because at that point for me, I hadn't even submitted my applications yet. And I was like, this is going to be, I'm starting to be like, okay, like the ball is rolling, even though I haven't heard anything about internship. Like I kind of feel like you, it's where it's like, okay, the first thing has happened, which is like, felt like this is like the beginning of the end of like grad school and like this new era.
But I do feel like this transitions well to like the topic that we were going to talk about.
Yes.
Which is living with uncertainty. Yeah. Which I feel like is a bigger thing in the fields that we've chosen to go into, just because it's a very stepwise process where you have less control than a more typical job or job search. So there's a lot of uncertainty about what is to come, where you're going to live, what the future is going to look like. It feels a little bit like it's not in your hands. But I'm sure for a lot of people they can relate, because,
uncertainty is a part of life.
Uncertainty is a part
everyone
of life.
has this in some facet of their life, I think. Yeah.
Like you don't know where you're going to go to college. You don't know who you're going to marry. You don't know who your child is going to be. You could be pregnant. There's uncertainty that you can make it. Like that you're going to have the baby at the end.
Or even just on a smaller scale, being like, I don't know. Okay, I need to find roommates for next year. Like, who is that going to be? Like, all these different, waiting to get grades. I don't know. People, evaluations even from a boss. Like, I feel like this is something that is applicable to a lot of people.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like, I think my relationship with uncertainty has definitely changed just because I've kind of been forced to get more comfortable with it. Like, I felt pretty okay going into college that I was going to get into a good college. But once it became, like, thinking about my career and, like, you apply to medical school and you just hope and pray that you get into a medical school and you don't know where that's going to be, if you're going to have to move for it. And then in medical school, there's just so many steps in this process. You take really big exams that you just hope you do okay on. You that you have to wait for your scores back. You have a lot of uncertainty of like, okay, I'm going to go to this random hospital with this new team that I don't know, and I'm just going to have to hope that it's going to be okay. I don't know who I'm going to work with tomorrow. And then you have the whole uncertainty of truly the biggest thing is like the whole residency application process and the fact that it is a match system, and it feels like your future is just held in the hands of some sentient match being who will decide, some algorithm, where you're gonna go and live for the next phase of like your adult life. And that is so scary, and it feels like you don't have like firm ground to stand on, and you can't make decisions in your life because you're always just not sure what the future is gonna hold. But I think a lot of that, and we've talked about this before, is radical acceptance. Yeah. On the one hand, this is like, we always harp on this. Yeah. And I think uncertainty is a great use of radical acceptance, of being
you
like,
do anything.
You can't change. You can do what you can, but beyond that, you really can't change the outcome. And really accepting the choice, accepting the outcomes that might happen as just that you would be okay in all of those situations, and that you will get through it no matter what. And that's really hard to do, but that is something that helps me, is to reassure myself, not that 100% I'm gonna match, or not 100% that, if I do match, that it will be at my number one place, but that even if it is, that last place on my list, that I will be okay, that these are all great programs, I'm going to get a great education, that I don't know actually what is the best place for me. Like, I sometimes think about like, sometimes you take a wrong turn on the road. Did you just miss a car accident that you were going to go into?
Yeah.
But in a different, it's like you never know the people you're going to meet.
You never know the counterfactual. It's true.
You don't know. And there have been times in my life where I either get something, an opportunity that I really wanted, and it ends up not being what I thought it was going to be. And maybe I'd make a different choice if then I knew more about it. And then I don't get things that I really want. I end up having a really good experience doing something else. Now, that's not always true. A lot of times you gather information and you're able to make a good idea of what might be best for you, but you don't know everything. You're making a guess, and that also doesn't mean that everything's gonna be bad just because something else might be slightly better. Yeah. But yeah, just really being okay with the options. And part of that is also just like gratitude. Like, okay, even if I don't match, I'm really grateful that I have like a really great family and a really great friends. And, I have my health, and I have things that are the most important in life. And this is in addition to that, having a great, fulfilling career is not the most important thing in life. It's important for me, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't determine everything about my happiness and my joy. So like really sitting with those feelings of like, okay, what if on match day I open up that envelope, it's not the place I want, or I get an email that I don't match? For me, working backwards and being like, that would be okay, really just helps me on then be like, okay, I do feel that I probably will match, though. Which is a hard statement to say out loud. I almost feel like I'm jinxing it. It's a little bit of magical thinking. But allowing yourself to accept, quote, failure, to me allows me to, like, make that kind of giant,
give it less
scary
power.
Monster of failure. It, like, shrinks it down and allows me to see the situation more objectively and be like, well, I probably do have an okay chance of matching at, like, one of my top 5 programs. I probably will match. I can't say 100%. That's like you're living with uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen, but, you're able to see it more objectively if you kind of like fear it less.
Yeah, totally. I feel like that I've been trying to practice that. It's hard. I think when we say these things, it's not to try to say that, oh, there's some sort of magical, like you just snap your fingers and now you're free and this is what you think, right? Like that's not, it's kind of a continual practice, I think, of just constantly reminding yourself. Like I do the same thing, just being like, okay, what would it actually be like? And then I start to even think about what would the pros be of not matching or matching somewhere that's really not my top choice? Like maybe I would have more time to work on side projects or research projects that I care about, or like I would feel better. Let's say I did like have a baby during internship. Then I would be like, well, I don't really care about this experience as much. So, you know, I feel more chill about taking time off or whatever it might be. I don't know. Like thinking about any of the pros, again, not to say that you end up liking or really preferring those options, but allowing yourself to realize that you're stronger than you think and like you will get through those things. It just sucks the power out of it, and just continually being grateful too for like, okay, yes, I have a million things to be. I have you, Allie. I have my husband. My whole family, my brother, like really amazing friends. Will be okay. Truly will be okay. Yeah, either way. But it doesn't make it easy. It's not trying to sugarcoat the experience. It's wild when it's just like your whole life and you just feel like you can't, like, there's nothing you can do. Like, I mean, in a typical job process, you also you don't have 100% control, but if you get a few offers, let's say, you can choose whatever one you want, despite the fact that maybe you weren't their top, like, I don't know, like, maybe, but in this process, it's just like, but as you were saying, I think a few episodes ago, it actually, like, in theory works out as it would have, that you're getting whatever your top pick would have been, that would have also chosen you, but it's just like a mind game.
It's hard that the process is so elongated, right? Like, I think, yes, everything falls where it would if everyone is getting the top choice that is possible, right? Like, given how everything shakes out. But it's hard, I think, that you have to live with the not knowing for, like, from when you hit apply in September to when you find out late March. Like, that is a long time. Like, most job, hiring processes go a little quicker than that. I think is part of what's hard.
And that's a benefit for me, as I've said, that it's quicker. It is quicker. But not quick enough. I just want to know. Yeah.
I will say, I think I had an experience with uncertainty that I actually had to, like, opt out of it because it was stressing me out too much. It was applying for away rotations. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, during your 4th year of medical school, you do your sub-Is, which are, like I said, they're sub-internships, which your first year of residency is also often referred to as your internship year. So if you're sub, that would be like right below an intern. You're your 4th year kind of pretending to be an intern. Depends on where you are, what you're doing, whether or not how seriously that's taken, right? But they're like, you're really trying to make like a very good impression because you're getting your letters of rec. These grades really matter. And it's recommended for certain fields that you do an away rotation. And I did apply to some aways and some, I applied to a lot of them. I got all my blood tests that I needed for TB. Like, I did all the things, did all the research, and I applied for basically all the months I could, like through September. I think even some October ones. And I was not getting any. And it became clear that, like, if I really wanted one, I should brought in the number of programs that I was applying to. But it was so anxiety provoking because, I would try to make plans, like any plans, being like, if you don't know where you're going to be and that you could potentially be in a different spot from where you're living right now with my fiance and my family, like in your home, that you could like have to all of a sudden find like a sublet somewhere else or go somewhere, like that is very stressful. And people would ask me like, oh, we were planning an engagement dinner. Should we do it this summer? I was like, I don't know. Am I going to have to drive hours to come home? Yeah. What is the schedule going to be like? Like, I just had no idea, and I decided to withdraw the rest of my applications. That was not recommended. Every mentor, including my own psychiatrist, was like, it's probably good to do an away rotation. I was like, I can't handle doing an away rotation. Like, it got to the point where we were now in maybe like late July. We're okay, was it going to be August, September, October? And I was like, I need to plan my life. Like, I can't just be at the whim. Now looking back, I'm like, it wasn't that serious. Like, I probably could have made it work. But just the idea that, there's more into it too of like, okay, if I had to move, then like that means I would have had if I did my, away rotation, let's say October, I couldn't have done my medicine sub-I in October. So I would have to push that. So now my December plans, I also can't be sure of. And maybe that would, like, it's not just that month. It would have messed up my whole schedule, having to move my whole year around. And not having that certainty of knowing what I was going to do truly made me so anxious that I was like, I have to withdraw my applications. Like, I'm not going to, like, just for my mental health, I can't do that. And I remember saying, like, I can't be certain that I'm going to match, but this is not going to be the reason that I don't match, is how I felt. It may be the reason that I don't match a specific program, but I couldn't stomach living with so much uncertainty for what my next week could have looked like. Like, if I had gone, like, okay, you're coming in a month, like, I would have had to, like, move rotations around, like, everything. I wasn't willing to do it.
No, it's a tough, I feel like it's, uncertainty is so powerful for us. I feel like if you think about evolution, right? Like, uncertainty is what we're sort of like designed to sort of like think and worry about, because planning for these different scenarios and planning for the future, if you're someone who's like good at that, you would be more likely to survive, right? Like, if you're like, okay, if this happens, then what we're left with in a world where we're not being like hunted by predators is that we don't have these like actually really terrible things happening, but our brains are really prepared to like anticipate these potential threats, and they're like, okay, uncertainty is just, we're bred to have that be like such a powerful thing, so that our brains will like snap into action and be like, what can we do? Like, what would this be like? And envisioning the worst case scenario is, again, it's if we're evolved here, like we're probably pretty good at that, right? But in our current world, what's tough is like, we're not being chased by predators. Like, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna, in most situations, not in obviously every situation, but in most situations that like we would be in, you'd be okay. And it's more just like a really, really tough experience that your brain is kind of going through.
Yeah. I think now I'm like reflecting on it. I'm like, it wouldn't have been that bad, to do an away rotation, and like I would have made it work. I think in the moment, another thing is like, I'm in a very obviously committed relationship. We're engaged. And the idea that I would just like move away for a month, like without my cat, first of all, too, it's like very unsettling. I think it's hard that some of the expectations of medical school that, is almost like you are just this single person.
It was made for men with wives who don't work. Like, that's what these processes were made for.
And it really just like, I couldn't imagine just like leaving him for a full month and like not knowing when that was going to be. And then also just like the whole uncertainty of it. And I did apply, and I didn't get anything originally. And I was like, I'm just not broadening my application, and I'm going to remove the ones for like the times that it would kind of mess up my schedule if I did end up getting. So that's kind of how I approached it. But it did also open my eyes up to like some of the jobs in the world that are more like that, just more like gig jobs. Like, I know I have my one friend who's one of my bridesmaids who works as like an art producer on TV shows. So she does, or like art direction. I can't think of like what the actual job title is, but like she's the person that will like help design like the props and the sets and like scouting locations and doing that stuff. But she works on some TV shows that will come back season after season, but sometimes they don't come back. Sometimes she works on a pilot and it doesn't get picked up, and it's, they kind of work for, depending on like how many seasons or how many episodes in a season, like really is like unclear. Sometimes they extend working, like, oh, we actually need more time to shoot this, so she ends up working longer. But then she'll have to plan like, okay, after this is done, I can take my next job, I can estimate around here. Then there's times where she's not working, but she's looking for work. So it's not like she can just like go on vacation during that time, because at any point they could be like, hey, can you come in tomorrow for this new job that just came up and this one person's not here? So I cannot, I was talking to her, I was like, how do you do that? I just realized like how mentally hard it is. I think for me, I was focusing on like, well, of course she wants to be working. Like, I knew that. But when she had this downtime that she wasn't working, in my head, I was like, how fun. You live in LA. Go to the beach.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can enjoy sometimes.
Yeah.
You're always living on edge of like,
what's my next
what's going to
thing?
happen next? Not being able to plan is so hard. And I'm not even a planner, and it's hard for me.
Totally.
You know, like, just the idea of like, I don't know if she can come to my bridal shower. Like, of course she wants to be there. But if she gets a job and like she needs to be on set, like, just
That's
the
important.
demands of her job, like, that really, you know, reward actually like working and being there. Like, if you can't make certain shoot dates, like, you might be cut from that. Like, so I think it's so hard for her to plan. And I think that's what it boils down to, is even as someone who doesn't like planning, it's very hard to not be able to plan at all.
Yeah, to not have any say. I mean, I think I learned on a personality level that I feel the same way as you. When I went to college, I did a lot of theater in high school, and our school was like, most people played sports. Our theater drama club was like so chill. Like, some are very competitive at certain schools, but ours was like very chill. Like, if you wanted to be in the show, no one was cut, kind of thing. I loved it, and I like, you know, got leads. Like, I was like, I'm a pretty artsy person for my small town drama club. And I got to college and I was like, I think I might want to major in theater and like do this as my career because I just love it so much. And I think what I realized when I got into this world and was like kind of doing it a little bit was like, I cannot handle that level of uncertainty, basically. I'm not the kind of person that can just work for weeks on end with no breaks and then like suddenly have no work and then be finding something else and is kind of always on the hunt. Like, that life was just so awful to me that I was like, actually, never mind. I'm going to be a psychologist. And I really do feel like it was just, I mean, because obviously when you're in high school and you're like signing up for drama club, it's the schedule is pretty set out for you, and you know when the show's going to be, and like, it's not your employment. I mean, so many caveats. So you can enjoy doing something, but then I think, it was a huge reason for me why I realized like I cannot go into the arts. So yeah, and I know that friend of yours, and we have friends too who are like in that business, and it's amazing how they make it work. But I think you just have to have such a tolerance for being like canceling plans if needed, but being there when you just suddenly have the time to be there with your friends, and it's a totally different way of living, honestly, than I'm used to.
Yeah, and it is interesting because I know we kind of started this discussion saying like, oh, our careers are leave us with some uncertainty because we're not able to make all the choices. But in a lot of senses, it does provide some level of certainty of like, if all goes to plan, you know, we kind of know at all times through our training, for the most part, what our next few years are going to look like. You know, when I started medical school, you know, at the time I thought I was going to be an OB-GYN and then do like an MFM fellowship. So I thought I knew what the next 4 years of medical school was going to be, 4 years of residency, and then 2 years or whatever it is of MFM fellowship. Like, now as I'm finishing up medical school, I'm like, I know what residency is going to look like. I know what child and adolescent fellowship is going to look like very clear career steps.
Yes.
But there is just this, like, don't know, one, if I'm going to get through all those steps. Like, that is the uncertainty. And where those steps are going to happen, I do not have control over.
Yeah.
So that is what is hard. And definitely is wild to just like kind of peer over to your friends who are just like applying to jobs and again getting to like compare the offers.
Yeah, I'm like, you get to choose what city you live in. Like, that's so cool. I mean, even when people ask like where Jacob and I want to end up one day, I'm like, first of all, what do you mean by quote end up? Because I'm gonna have so many other job steps before we can like fully be settled. Like, I have internship, and then I have postdoc, and then I have, like, whatever job, like, if I get an academic job after that, or, like, whatever that ends up being, there could be one, there could be multiple, like, truly so uncertain. And then while we can probably restrict, like, roughly the region we'll be in, meaning, like, maybe, like, Northeast or even East Coast or, like, certain cities that we'd feel comfortable being in, I feel like you can't be, like, only New York. Like, you can't be, like, if this is your path. So just to be like, wow, people get to just, like, decide the city that they want to live in. And ultimately we might have more say depending on what path I end up taking and how everything goes, but it's like so long before we'll be able to like truly settled down that I don't even know how to like conceptualize that for myself. And
I know.
it is a weird thing you just have to kind of let go of.
This is like something I've been thinking about is, and you just have to stay with me on this one. So just like, you know, it's going to start off like, where is she going with this? I was just watching The Walking Dead.
Okay.
It's my first time watching. Lucas has watched before. Not
Sure.
important. And at one point, one of the characters is asking another character, like, do you believe in God? Or why do you think God exists? Or something. And she's like, well, I don't know. I just take it as like a matter of faith. Like, I don't think about like why or why not it's true or whether or not it's likely it's
Sure.
true. Like, I'm just like, I've decided this is what I'm going to believe. And it was so interesting to me because I don't think that's how my brain works. In terms of like, when I think about the question, is there a God? I think about, well, what's the likelihood? What's the science? What's like, I'm like thinking very analytically about it. And it never occurred to me that some people might believe not because of reason. And I think a lot of people will kind of say like, see, I know God exists because X, Y, Z. But I don't think that's everyone. I do think that there's this like population of people who,
I think a lot of religious people, if not,
but I think
the majority.
the people that are spouting their religion from the rooftop are not these people, right? The people that are like online talking about their faith, or people that are like in politics talking about their faith, are more the people who are going to like tell you this like story of 100% certainty that this is the way, right?
Right.
So I don't think I've been exposed or around a lot of people that I really understood that like, well, it's not like, they may not know 100% or even tell you that they actually believe that this is what it is. It's more just like they've decided that this is helpful for them, and that's just what they're going to believe. Like, they're actually just choosing to believe that on a matter of faith. And then I was thinking, well, I guess I do that to some extent in my own life. Like, there's things that I don't know 100%, but I choose to just live my life as if they're true, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to have kids. Like, maybe I'll have infertility, but I envision my life as me having kids. Like, I don't really give mind to that. Like, even though I don't know the future,
you just choose to believe.
I just choose to believe on faith that it'll probably be fine. And, you know, you can go into, like, the probabilities, the likelihood, like, it's not the same as other beliefs, but
sometimes, like, those aren't so helpful, actually, if you're, like, they only kind of continue to fuel the fire of being like, but what if this? But what if this? If you're like,
right. Oh, no, I'm talking about like believing God or not is like not the same logic conversation as like some of the more concrete things is more what I'm getting to. Anyways, but it got me thinking about, you know, like a different perspective. Thank you, Walking Dead. I'm like, I think, but also just, you know, how I think about things, and that you can just choose, even if. So easier said than done. I don't think I'm getting here, but I'm curious. Like, I could just choose to believe I'm going to match and everything's going to be okay. And just, you know, radical acceptance, blah, blah, blah. But, like, you can also just live your life as if that's going to happen.
Right, because who's to say?
Doesn't change anything. Doesn't mean it's going to happen or not going to happen.
You might say, like, but what if you should be like, it doesn't do anything to also be worrying about it. Worrying about it doesn't change the outcome at this point. So
again, easier said than done, but I never considered. It's like telling someone like, why don't you just not worry about it? That's not what I'm saying. I guess my idea is like, you don't have to like 100% believe things to just live your life. You don't have to be
convinced logically. You can just decide to live your life.
This will likely happen and cross that bridge when it gets there.
Totally.
And, you know, everyone does that to their life to some extent. You get in your car, you could get in a car accident, but you're living your life as if you're going to get to your destination.
Yes.
You know, like there's things that you are not 100% sure of, that you're aware could be different, that you're aware that you're not 100% sure of, but you just live your life as if the outcome that you think is going to happen is going to happen. So,
because you basically make the calculation without saying it. Like, it's going to be more trouble than it's worth to like worry about it. Worrying about it isn't going to do anything. It's just going to make me more upset. Why would I worry about that the whole car ride instead of just like listening to music or a podcast or whatever? And No, I totally feel that. And I also think, and you kind of were like alluding to this earlier in the conversation, but I do feel this phrase can be super gaslighting, the like everything happens for a reason, because obviously really terrible things happen, and like sometimes terrible things happen to really good people who do everything quote unquote right and all these things, and it's just awful, and there's not a good explanation for that. But on the other hand, when you were saying earlier how like sometimes you don't know the counterfactual in certain situations, especially in these more like gray areas. Okay, you match at your sixth choice instead of your first choice, right? And you're like not super jazzed about it, but you're like, okay, like you never know. Those top 5 could have had something really toxic or bad, or living in those cities, there could have been something bad that happened to you or someone, like who knows? And obviously you just don't know, but yeah. I even think about that with like, and I'm sure that like, I have not been through this and I don't know, I can't claim to really understand what it's like. And I think, so I don't know, like experiencing like infertility and having trouble conceiving. Like I know I have friends who had, their parents had trouble conceiving, and then they had my amazing friend after a while of trying, and they probably wouldn't have had that same child had they had success earlier, right? And I would never wish upon someone that awful experience. Again, I can't claim to know what that's like directly, but I can only imagine just how awful I know it would make me feel. But just even thinking about with things like that, or anything similar with matching, etc., like, you never know what is meant to sort of come to you, and whether you believe it's like meant to happen or it did and that's lucky, and like maybe you did get something you wouldn't have otherwise gotten out of this really difficult thing. I don't know, I think about that too, and just try to do what you're saying in a way. Just decide to trust the process. Easier said than done, but just decide, okay, like I'm gonna trust that like where I match is where I'm sort of like meant to match. And even if logically I could have a whole debate about that, but like where I match is where
to believe that.
I'm gonna choose to believe that like where I'm matching
because it's the most helpful thing to believe.
Yes, I really like
not because
like helpful.
It's the right thing or because it's the most true thing, but because it is the most helpful thing to believe.
Yes,
and that is what will ultimately also help you in being the most successful in that environment, if that is what you believe.
Yes. No, I love this framework of like helpful versus harmful too. And I do this a lot with patients because like, yeah, if you get down this like logic hole with people, then they'll be like telling you all the reasons why it's actually possible that, but like there's this thing could happen, or this thing could happen, or this is so bad, and let me really help you understand why this is so bad. And that those things all might be true. But what it sometimes just boils down to is like, it kind of sucks for you to just be like wallowing in that all the time, right? Like you're building upon your suffering. This initial thing happened to you or might happen to you that's really bad. And now you're like layers of suffering on top of that by just saying like, just thinking about it all the time and worrying about it all the time. And it's not helpful to your mental health to do that. Even if you're quote unquote right, it's not effective. It's not helpful.
I think that people who have, let's say, like more analytical brains, that I feel like and this is not in juxtaposition to emotional brains. I'm saying people that have a hard time believing anything without true evidence are gonna like logic ways through, like as someone who like grew up on like atheism YouTube and like wanting to like be smart and have, all of the critical thinking. I can feel judgmental towards myself when I think I am not being the most like thinking the most logical way, even if that will be more detrimental to my mental health. Like the idea that I'm like, okay, I know that this person in my life who has died, I don't know what I believe. Logically, I don't think anything, like probably not with us anymore, but in my heart, what my heart believes is that like I feel them with me a lot. And then I'll judge myself for feeling that feeling because I'm like, oh my gosh, you're not thinking critically. You're like, having these, like, who are you, Allie? You're the girl who is never going to fall for something without evidence.
So it's kind of this identity thing for you.
Yes, I do think. So I think with that comes not being able to, like, truly just live my life freely. Like, I'm like, what if I don't match? Yeah. Allie, you know that that's a possibility. Like, you have to think critically. Like,
totally.
I'm never going to be the girl, and I say this full, like, there's things that I will be humble about. I'm never going to be the girl to join a cult. Like, I just know in my brain, I am a critical thinking girl. I don't really fall into peer pressure, like, yada, yada. But, like, sometimes it's okay to, like, let your analytical brain go for a second and, like, just remind yourself, you don't have to judge yourself for just doing what is most helpful. You know, feeling things that are most helpful, just thinking, I'm just going to believe I'm going to match. I'm going to believe this person that I've lost is with me. I'm going to believe that, you know, I'm going to end up where I'm supposed to be. If that's helpful,
great. Yeah.
You don't have to, like, have the answer all the time and, like, be 100% correct and 100% logical.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think I'm not quite on that level that you are of, like...
You know me.
I know. I have always been, I think, more okay. I've had, you know, an essence of some of those things happen to me, but I think I've always been more comfortable being like, maybe I don't have the answer to this thing. But it's a balance, you know? You don't want to, like, lie to yourself and just be totally hallucinating or delusional, but it's okay. It doesn't mean you're delusional to just choose to believe, like, I'm just going to let myself think everything's okay, and if I get information otherwise, I'll act on it.
Yeah.
But for now, if you don't have any evidence or information, like, that's okay. You can just operate in a way that's most helpful to you.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. I feel like I enjoy talking to you about this, and we will see you all next week.
Always like, business handshake. We are done.
Yes. Okay, goodbye, Missy. For the next week, I will not talk to you, communicate with you at all.
Yes. We're like...
Peace and love.
This is part of our journey to fight less.
Which we have been doing less.
We have been doing.
And I think you've been pulling your weight much more than me.
Well, with that, I'll talk to you soon.
Ta-ta.
Bye, everyone.